Welcome to Studio 5. Pastor and New York Times best-selling author Michael Todd is with us this week. Lucas Black stars in a new Western and joins us with a preview. And we're sharing the key to Christmas, Never Too Early, with singer and songwriter Jenn Lee. With so much to get to, we want to fire up this week's countdown of the top 5 stories in the world of uplifting entertainment.
At number 5.
I know I said that last time was gonna be the last time, but here I am back again.
That's Isaiah Roberts with a new single from One House Music's new project, Eyes Up. It's birthed from the music ministry of One Church, where Torrey Roberts and Sarah Jakes Roberts serve as pastors.
One of the songs that everyone is singing the praises of is Last Time, as you just did. And a special person is featured on that, your son, correct?
It is. You know, I gotta tell you, when I founded, One House Multimedia, when I founded the label, I wasn't even thinking about my son.
Wow.
Because he was younger and he was a child actor and he dabbled in music, but I didn't even know that what me and the team that has come together to create One House was putting together would be a runway for my own son. So it's really humbling and very rewarding, and he's got it.
If I told you I was done, would you ever believe me?
At number 4. Director George Clooney takes us inside his film about the 1936 University of Washington rowing team that competed for the gold at the Summer Olympics in Berlin.
The Boys in the Boat is about strong, tough kids, but they were poor and hungry. They're rowing because it was the only way they could stay in college.
Well, what's that about making some money?
Yeah, the rowing team. You're on it, you get a part-time job included, cheap place to live. All you gotta do is make the team.
The stakes were much higher for them.
The film is in theaters Christmas Day.
These guys at the University of Washington taking on the seniors.
I got 9 seconds under the course record.
And then taking on the fraternity kids. And then taking on the Nazis. Every film we've ever seen that has an underdog in it, you're always rooting for.
Well, that begins our countdown this week. We've got 3 remaining stories to share that is coming up throughout the rest of the show. Want to turn now to pastor and best-selling author Michael Todd. He's written his 3rd book, and it is called Damaged But Not Destroyed.
I want to let you know that every lie, every layer, and every limit no longer has the power to define you. It's time to change the narrative of your future. You may be damaged, but I promise you, you're not destroyed.
So, Damaged But Not Destroyed. 3rd book for someone who didn't like English. And as I learned in the book, was it like nutrition?
Yeah, nutrition class in junior in Tulsa Community College took me out. That was the end of my higher education. But it really is the grace of God that I am here today sharing about the things that I've been through and how God can take all damage and he can turn it into something that pushes you into destiny. See, most people think my damage started here.
Oklahoma pastor runs
But in reality, my damage started right here.
Let me dive right into Pastor Michael Todd's resume. Premarital sex, porn addiction, criminal record. We learn all of this in the book.
You learn all of this in the first 2 chapters.
I know.
I just believe that the Bible says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb. That's what Jesus does. And the words of our own testimonies. It really is what it is until God steps in. We're all damaged. Under the name brands, the makeup, the degrees, the success, the titles, and even the credit. I found everybody still has cracks. And I want to encourage people that there's still value in you, but that means you have to deal with your damage. And for that to happen, you got to understand that God is he's not scared of your damage. He's big enough to deal with your damage, but that means you're going to have to make a decision and know that God can heal you. The real fight is not just the enemy. It's the inner me. It may not have been your fault, but it is now your responsibility. And I've realized what's not transformed is transferred.
Let's go to
January 16th.
Let's do it.
2000.
Come on, let me take a drink of water before we go there. Let's go.
January 16th, 2022. The headline is When the Spit Hit the Fan.
Yes, sir.
And I had already seen you do this years before.
Years ago. Yeah.
So I, like you, went to bed thinking, okay, well, I've seen that before. I get the message. Beautiful.
Yeah.
But when I went to work, because I'm a journalist, everyone was asking, have you heard about what Michael Todd did? I'm like, what did he do? He spit in a man's face, da-da-da-da. What?
Yeah, man, it was one of the wildest 24 hours I'd ever had in my life, and I chronicle it in the book. I did this example, and I used spit, and it was my real little brother. This is my blood little brother who we fought and bled on each other and all, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't think it was a big deal, but this was the first time that I found out how impactful our platform had become. And it was a beautiful gift. Sometimes you don't know that it means that much until it means that much. This was the first time we realized that everybody that was watching did not know the intent of our heart and know what we were called to do. And so, yeah, it blew up. It went to every station, every outlet, and basically it was trying to discourage me from being who God called me to be. Thankfully, I had set up some patterns and some principles that protected me from all of the comments. If that's where I go for my affirmation, then that would have been the worst day of my life. What it actually was a gift from God to let me know I was his. That's why I don't just follow the message of Jesus, I follow the method of Jesus. And I want people, I've been very clear with people, this book is not for everybody. It's not for everybody, it's only for people who've been damaged.
How do we go from this to this?
From the trauma to the triumph? If I could put it in one word, it's honesty. If people would be honest about where they actually are, I believe that the Bible says it like this: God is drawn to the brokenhearted. And you can look at the story of Thomas and even see in his life, everybody calls him Doubting Thomas. I call him Honest Thomas. He was honest that he was damaged by not being there when Jesus showed up. He was honest with it. He had friends that allowed him to stay in his honesty, that didn't throw him out or give him, you don't believe in Jesus? Get out of here. He was there because 8 days later, Jesus shows back up and he says, Thomas, here you go. Put your hands in my nail prints. Here's my side. Feel this. And what this tells me is that Jesus stayed open so that our wounds could be closed. If you really, really, really want to go from the damage to destiny, from the trauma to triumph, you're going to have to be honest. And that's why I wrote this book.
Again, Pastor Mike's latest book is called Damaged But Not Destroyed. It's available right now. He's got two others you may want to check out as well. The first is called Relationship Goals, and the other is called Crazy Faith.
Still to come.
But you always stand together.
Actor Lucas Black.
My character, Reverend Jeremiah Jacobs, has to step up and fight for his family.
Gives us a Studio 5 behind-the-scenes look at Birthright Outlaw. At number 3.
The Oscar-nominated director Darren Aronofsky premiered his sensory cinematic experience, Postcard from Earth, at the Sphere in Las Vegas Friday. The Sphere has the world's largest LED screen. 5 humanoid robots guide the audience. Aronofsky's 2-hour documentary is promoted to take viewers on a journey from the Antarctic, deep into the ocean, across global locations, and deep into space.
At number 2.
No one wins the battle against physics and gravity quite like Simone Biles.
Making history on the gymnastics floor.
Here is some news to make you smile. Gymnast Simone Biles has been staging a comeback after a 2-year break, and she is not messing around. This is her 6th title, making her the most decorated gymnast in history, male or female. 34 medals, and all what she's able to do with her body is mind-blowing.
We have one more story to share in this week's countdown that's coming up in just a few moments. Birthright Outlaw is a new Western. At the heart of the story is the Jacob family who must let go of the past lies to secure hope for the future. It stars Lucas Black, who joins us this week for a behind-the-scenes first look at the film.
I wonder if I might trouble you for a hot meal and a hitch for my horse.
My husband takes great delight in my ministering to random desperados.
Your husband needs a bath.
Birthright Outlaw, you're a preacher man in this story. How did you come to it?
You know, I worked on Legacy Peak, which is the same director and writer that did Birthright, Aaron Burns. And so he called me up, sent me the script, and I read it and really liked it a lot.
Marriage is a promise. You gotta know when to stand firm when it's right and bend when it's necessary, but you always stand together.
A lot of real raw material. And so my goal, and I think Aaron's goal, was to create some content that would be more appealing to men.
You've done a good thing for these people, Reverend. A place like this can turn sour real quick.
I quickly recognized that my character got to use some of the masculine traits that are innate in us, that God's given us. You know, he's a man that has to make a decision. There's a pivotal point in the movie where he has to step up to fight for his marriage, you know, and to protect his wife and to go and try to save his daughter. And so there's a real enemy out there that's trying to destroy the relationships that mean the most to us. And in this movie, you see my character step up and battle back to try to save those. I think there's a hunger for content out there like this, you know, that puts the husband and the father figure in a good role, right? In a leadership role. And so I think it's going to uplift and encourage the men out there.
My name is Rose Bridges. I am a fugitive from justice.
How well or how much do you relate to your character?
Well, this season in my life, a lot. You know, I love my wife, I love my kids, getting to spend a lot of time with family. So those relationships really mean the most to me. And we're fighting battles in this culture right now. And so we got to take a stand. You know, our as husbands and fathers, leaders of the household, we have to step up and be there for our wives, be there for our children, and point them in the direction of truth.
How relevant is a Western in 2023?
Yeah, great question. We know what we're going to get in a Western, right? As men, we know we're going to get a good guy. We know we're going to get a bad guy. There's going to be a gunfight. And so usually, most of the time, the good guy comes out on top. In a Western, back in those days, most of us wore a weapon on our hip, right? So even though my character was uncomfortable with it and didn't really know how, he wasn't very skilled with a gun, he decides that, hey, if he has to use lethal force to fight for those relationships that mean the most to him, he's going to do it. I think it's important that we can learn some valuable lessons from this film. That, you know, there's a lot of parallels to what we're up against today, and so that's what I love about this.
You are cordially invited to the greatest show on earth.
Birthright Outlaw premieres this month on the PureFlix platform. We need to take a break, but before we do, I want to share this week's story and pictures. Here's your Studio 5 snapshot for the week.
It's a new look at images from the forthcoming film version of the musical The Color Purple, not due to hit theaters until Christmas Day. Oprah Winfrey made her acting debut in the 1985 film, and she's now in the producer's seat for this production that stars Fantasia Taylor, Coleman Domingo, Taraji P. Henson, Danielle Brooks, Halle Bailey, Corey Hawkins, and her. This quick look is this week's Studio 5 snapshot. Still ahead.
My parents actually gave me this guitar, and I loved to sing since I was little.
Singer and songwriter Jenn Lee shares her musical journey with Studio 5.
Hey, welcome back to Studio 5. Jenn Lee is a worship leader, singer, and songwriter. South Dakota is home for her, and just in time for the holidays, she's got a new Christmas album called The Key to Christmas. But the key to her musical journey started when she was just a little girl.
You said, come to me, you who work and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest.
Let me begin with, how did the musical journey begin for you? Where did it start?
Honestly, it was after I got married, had a traumatic first marriage and miscarriage in college. A horrible season of shame and condemnation and just running from the Lord. Well, when I finally met my husband that I've been married to now for 22 years, I started slowly coming back to the Lord and realizing that, you know, maybe he really did forgive me for my past. Maybe he really did love me and accept me. And as I began to open up to God, all of a sudden this deep desire to sing, really to worship him, started to come forth. I got out my guitar from 20 years earlier and began writing songs to the Lord and worshiping him.
I love it. One of the things that introduced us to you is your Christmas music. What inspired you guys to make music videos and to do Christmas music?
There's such joy in Christmas music, and the world really needs that joy right now. We ended up choosing a song that we didn't think we would choose for the music video, which was O Come, Emmanuel.
Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.
I felt like the Lord just flowed in it and just directed our steps, and it was really, really fun, except for the fact that it was extremely cold that day. So we were in that bar going, okay, look like you're having fun.
It's by thine advent here.
Now you guys have a hymns EP coming?
We are doing some of our family's favorite hymns. We're starting with I'll Fly Away, which might not be considered a hymn, but that's one that when Dawson and I have performed it has just gone over really well with people. Again, just bringing that joy in the world when things seem to be so dark. And then we're going to be doing Holy, 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 In the Garden, and a few other favorites.
What is it about hymns that somehow still manage to resonate with us today?
I think it's the deep, unchanging truths that are contained in those old hymns.
What would you say to people hearing your story and kind of feeling like, I walked away from a calling and the purpose, but now I'm older, maybe it's too late?
Well, we've all been there, but with the Lord, it's never too late. He is the one that redeems the time. And what I would say is, if you are feeling like there is something that has been placed in you since you were a child, bring that gifting to the Lord. He will show you what he put it on the inside of you for. He has a purpose in that gifting.
Your yoke is easy, and your burden is light as a leaning to.
Jenn Lee's new album is called The Key to Christmas. It's available wherever you stream your music. She's also the host, by the way, of a podcast. It's called The Key with Jenn Lee. It offers biblical teachings and personal testimonies. With that, we have made it to the final story in this week's countdown of the best stories in uplifting entertainment. Here's your number one.
At number one.
My name is Willie Gary.
Willie Gary.
Willie Gary. William Gary.
Never heard of him.
Mr. Gary hasn't lost a case in over 12 years.
A Studio 5 exclusive look at the life of famed attorney Willie Gary in the film The Burial, starring Jamie Foxx. It's a true story of faith, friendship, and family.
One suggestion, though, baby.
Yeah, what's that?
When you're up there in court tomorrow, doing your thing.
Doing my thing.
Just try not to refer to yourself in the third person. Okay.
What you talking about, Gloria? I don't do that.
Yeah,
No,
you do. Just a little.
I don't think I do that.
Girl, get ready. Willie Gary coming upstairs now. Trust me.
Faith also seems to be a big part of your life. We see some beautiful scenes in the film, in church and so forth. How important is that to you?
You know, like in the Lowen Group case, seemed like we were losing, going downhill. I'll never forget it. I walked out the courtroom and I found a room, an empty room in the library.
Mm-hmm.
We were taking a beating. I mean, you wouldn't believe how the big high-powered law firms that the Lowen Group brought in. But I fell on my knees and said, Lord, you tell me what to say. I know our cause is just, and I know we're fighting a good fight and a decent fight and an honest fight, but I can't do it by myself.
His inspiring story is in theaters now and streaming to Amazon Prime October 13th.
Y'all come on in. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Gary. Let me introduce you to my Allred.
How do you feel about working with black folk? I suppose I am a little prejudiced.
Did you meet my team?
I'm Chris.
Deshaun.
Reggie Douglas. Gentlemen.
Welcome back to Studio 5. Music helps us to bring you this show every week, and this week's soundtrack comes from Kirk Franklin. He's on tour. He has a mini documentary nearly 2 million people have seen in just 2 weeks. Take a listen, and you'll hear why Needs is what's playing in my ear this week.
Keep those mid prayers. Why? Y'all tell them who we got. Yes, sir. When the storms of life start raging, who we got, y'all?
Needs from Kirk Franklin. Thank you so much. On that musical note, we are just about out of time for this week's edition of Studio 5. So let's look ahead and see what's coming up for you next week.
It's a mini documentary from gospel music's Kirk Franklin.
Nothing could prepare me for what God had in store for me in 2023.
We explore his emotional journey in learning the father he buried was not his father, and then meeting the man who is.
I'm just feeling numb. And at the same time, I'm also preparing my heart. This man lives down the street from my recording studio. He lives in the same city that I work in.
Well, be sure to join us for that story and so much more next week. This week, we've got time for just one more thing. We want to give that to Pastor Michael Todd.
I want you to know that everything you've been through that's happened to you, everything that you did to yourself, everything that you let culture tell you to do and you actually acted on it, I want you to know that you are not that. You do not have to be defined by your damage. If you're watching this video right now, number one, you have people around you who love you. And I want you to have what I didn't have. I didn't have somebody that would be honest with me about what I was really going through, and you do. I know some people are saying, but it's not fair what happened to me. It's not fair. I understand that. It may not have been your fault, but listen to me. It's now your responsibility. And what I'm telling you right now, this is your season. This is where God gives you beauty for ashes. This is how he turns around your life because you bring all your damaged pieces to him. He's the only one that can take pieces and make a masterpiece.
Pastor Mike, thank you. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, I want you to make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come back. See where Studio 5 takes you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.